Cool.
Well, good evening, everyone. Welcome to our critique evening. It's your opportunity to discuss and critique each other's images. It's always a popular night, and I understand from Mark, loads of images have been sent in. So really looking forward to seeing what has been sent through. Can I just say what fantastic images in round 2 of our PDI competition last week. And it's good to see some new names there up on the leaderboard as well. Absolutely fantastic. David Boswell is top of the leaderboard for the beginners section now after 2 rounds, and Sophia top of the open. So well done, you two. But congratulations to everyone, because I thought the images are absolutely fantastic. Also, well done, Carol. You there tonight, Carol? Have I seen you? Well done to Carol Green for her photo of the month coming into land. Matthew, I think you gave a fantastic write-up on that, and I agree with you. It's the wow factor. I think it was absolutely beautiful image. Thanks, Matthew, for another great 2-page feature in the local independent. It's such fantastic publicity for the club, and also it's lovely to see our images in print like that. And it's lovely when people notice that aren't club members or photographers and say, oh, you know, wow, it's great to see your images in the paper and stuff. So I think it's good for us as individuals, and certainly very good for the club overall. I'm hoping that paper sold a lot of copies last week, because I don't know if anyone else bought it, but there were 18 pages of primary school children classes. So I'm thinking, well, if every single parent bought a paper last week of their little one starting reception, that should give us quite a lot of publicity, because hopefully they'll look all the way through the paper. A reminder to send your images of, I've already said this earlier before we started recording, but if you could please send your images of Anna from the portrait photo shoot that you did with Bill. If you could send those images to Bill Edwards, and that would be fantastic, because I think Anna would really appreciate getting copies of the images. We saw quite a few on Facebook, and they were lovely, and I'm sure she'd like to receive them. I will send a congratulations to Anna. Lovely to hear that she had a baby girl. Was it just a couple of days, I think, Bill, after that photo shoot? I think it was a lot closer than she thought it was going to be, and certainly a lot closer, I should think, than we thought as well. But that's fantastic news. So we will send our best wishes. Can I just give a reminder, while I think of it, to the committee members that we have a meeting via Zoom tomorrow night at 7:30. It's a little bit earlier than usual, so 7:30 for a committee meeting tomorrow. Next week, I don't know, Matthew, have we got a next week
I've got
on here?
Got that. We've got
that. So that's tonight.
Well. Yeah.
Wow. So next week we have a talk by Julian Elliott, Mongolia and the Eagle Hunters. Also, it's the hand-in of the PDIs for the prints for competition round 2. Okay, the actual hand-in of the prints is on the night, which is the 23rd of November. And also a reminder that next week is on Zoom also. So the next time we'll be in the hub will be the 23rd of November for that print competition. So do get your PDIs for that from next week.
I'll be going into store for tomorrow morning, so.
Who said that?
Right, I've muted.
And then on the 30th of November, we've got a talk by Andy Sands on, we got Marco photography, or is it macro?
Oh, no.
You're just trying to see if I'm awake, Matthew. Is that what it is? Who's Marco? So we got a fantastic talk there on macro photography on the 30th of November. Melbourne Trophy competition on the 7th of December. Matthew, who've we drawn against? Can you remember? I'm thinking Stevenage, but I think I'm making that up.
No, I think that's
Janet?
correct. It is Stevenage, yes.
Oh, yeah, thought so. And where is that being held? That's ours, isn't it?
It should be, yes.
Fantastic. So for those who are new members, that's an inter-club competition. So we get a chance to see what another club has to offer as well. And is this the first round, Janet?
It's the first round, yes.
Semi-final.
First round is the
Well-
semi-final. I love it when we leap forward like that in the first round. Oh, it just shows what a good club we are. Straight through to the semi-final against Stevenage. So that promises to be a really good evening. It'll give you a chance, as I say, to see.
It's 24 images each, so we've got
Okay.
plenty.
And have you selected those yet, or is that in
No,
progress?
not yet.
Okay. 14th December, Christmas social to be confirmed and arranged. And then we go on to January, which we won't worry about yet. But just a reminder that in early January, we have round 3 of our PDI competition. So start thinking about that too. I think that's it for me. Mark, what would you like me to do? Shall I hand over to you on this?
Yes, unless you want to show Matthew's slide, but no, we've moved
Oh,
on.
Matthew, if
That's
you've
fine.
got another slide there, I don't want to rob you of another slide.
Just
that you've
covering
got there.
just covering what we're doing tonight.
Yeah, do you want to put that up again?
Back. Yeah, there you go.
Yep. Okay. So we'll have a little bit of a break around about 9 o'clock, and we'll carry on till we finish. Looking forward to this. So over to you, Mark. If everyone could, no, we don't want to be muted. do
No,
we?
no muting tonight.
Involvement.
Can I just interrupt a minute? I've got Andy Holloway trying to get on. Matthew, do you have a number for the Zoom? Because the link I sent him won't work.
I've got him on Facebook Messenger. I can quickly send in the details on that. It's no problem.
I've just sent it to him as well. So.
Oh,
Okay.
okay. All right, lovely. You'll get it.
Inundate him.
Oh, fair enough.
Oh, I think he's just sent me a message to say he's okay, Matthew. I think. Let's see if he turns up.
Go on.
All right, good.
Fantastic.
Keep an eye out for him.
Welcome, Andy, if you're there.
Not yet. No.
Not yet.
Right. Okay. Well, while Andy fights his way onto Zoom, we better make a start because we've got 12 of us have got images put forward, and some of you have put in all 3, which is absolutely fine. But because of a number, we're going to be fairly pressed for time to get through everyone. So I'm going to do it in the order that they arrived, which I think's fair. So we're going to start off with Janet. Hooray! And I thoroughly enjoyed your comment, which was, "Can you do anything with this?" Which I thought, wow, going to give us some challenges. So this is our first image that we've been submitted through to us. For those of you who are new to this and who haven't seen this going on, the idea is that you don't leave it to me to talk and waffle on, but you chip in with your suggestions and comments as to how we can improve the image, if indeed it needs improving. And I will endeavour to try and show you how to improve the image as I'm instructed by all of you lot. So here's the image. Any comments from everyone? So to start with,
Tropic, first of all.
sorry, I
think
missed
I'd
that.
go with a square crop, Mark.
Crop, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
The left and the top.
Okie dokie. All right, let me just shuffle this around. Right. Okay. So can everyone see my? This is Lightroom. For those who don't know, can everyone see this screen? It's the new version of Lightroom, which was just being discussed a moment ago, which has these new little icons here, which we will no doubt look at. Everything below that is pretty much as was. This color grading might be new to some of you as well. That came in a couple of updates ago, but apart from that, everything's fairly standard. So we're going to have a look at a crop. I think somebody's suggested a square crop. Am I right?
Just wondering. Yeah,
Yep.
maybe.
Okay, so if we go for a square crop, that's I'll pop it in the middle there. So that's your square crop straight out of a box.
Yeah, you need to get rid of the left.
You need to get rid of the
Yeah,
left
get rid
hand
of the
side.
left.
Yeah.
Yep, I agree.
Well, I
So,
think it shouldn't be in the middle either.
okay,
Oh,
where would you like
I
it, Jen?
I like
I
it.
like it in the middle.
Well, it's got somewhere to go. If it's going up.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
it's so symmetrical. I think it's best in the
Yeah.
middle.
Oh,
I
all right.
agree. You've been shouted down there, Janet.
Well, don't worry. I put it forward because because I can't do anything with it.
What would it
Beyond
look like if
probably.
you had a darker background?
Oh, blimey.
Well,
start
actually, I think
simple.
the spider needs sharpening. Or that's what I certainly can't do.
Sorry, we lost your
Lost
volume
it, Janet.
there, Sophia. Sophia, Janet, would you mind just saying that again?
Oh, we lost you, Janet.
Oh, altogether.
You're back again.
You're back now.
Is that sky transplant?
Can you sharpen it?
Sharpening it.
What you're using? Are you using Lightroom? Because I don't know Lightroom.
Yes,
Can you sharpen?
Yes, we're in Lightroom. So when I had a look at this, I'm not sure. Well, we can give it a go. I'm not sure sharpening is going to do as much as we may be able to do in Photoshop. But if we really whack up the sharpening here, if you watch, let me just zoom. Oh, I can't zoom in any further. Let me just go here.
Mark, if you hold down the masking key with your mouse and then move the sharpening one, it'll show you how much it's sharpening.
Yes, yeah. That's, if you just bear with us a moment, we will get to that. So let me just go back to, this is pretty much where we started. I just wanted to sort of zoom in to show our plane of focus seems to be more on the web than it is on the spider, and that's not necessarily right or wrong. But because the spider's taking up so much of the image, I would suggest that we probably do want the spider to be a little sharper than it currently is. So the suggestion was to sharpen it. So if we want to put the sharpening, that certainly does something for it. And as Steph suggested, if we press Alt and this masking key, you can see it turns right, and we can then reduce where that sharpening is occurring, because we probably don't want to sharpen the background on that side. So we'll take it to about there, and that takes us to there. So that's our before the sharpening, and there's the after sharpening. It may not look quite as significant as it does on my screen to you, because obviously Zoom will compress it. However,
do you know what the radius and detail do? Do they have any effect on this?
Could do. We can certainly give that a go. So easiest way to find out what things do is take them to 0 and then take them all the way to 100. So you could probably see that did make, if anything, that's affecting the contrast of the areas that we haven't masked out, which makes sense. So if you watch again, if you particularly watch the web, you'll probably be able to see with 0 lack of contrast, with 100% there's a reasonable amount of contrast. Now with a lot of these sliders, 100% tends to be a little bit crunchy. So we'll just pull that back a bit. I think it does make a reasonable difference. But again, I'm more looking at the spider than the web, but certainly no reason not to do that. And the radius, if you go to 0, again, this looks a bit contrasty. Take it to 100, yeah, that's contrast again. It's another type of contrast, I think. So again, if you watch this is probably a bit destructive for what we're looking for. If you watch the spider's web here, you lose detail by cranking up that radius, because you've got quite nice detail going in there with the possibly, I don't know if there's water on there or whatever, but if you crank it up, it makes it rather takes that detail out, I think. So, but good suggestion there, Paul. That's that's a good point.
Mark, is it worth, because you can now actually highlight the subject, can't you, and work on the spider itself without working on anything else?
Yes, you can. You can indeed.
Is that
and you can, if you want to, once you've selected the subject, you can invert it, and then you could make the background darker, like somebody suggested.
Yeah, like Helen suggested. Yeah.
Yep. Absolutely. Okay, so to select the spider, If we go into the masking area, and we have select subjects, which those of you who use Photoshop will recognise. You also have select sky, which was mentioned just before we started. So if we select subject, it'll whiz and whir for a few moments, and there it's selected the spider for us. And you can see it's selected the spider because it's very helpfully coloured it red. You can actually tell it to show different overlays on what's being selected by clicking the overlay button here. And as you can see, you can have color overlay, which is a little bit less obvious on the color picture, color overlay on black and white, image on black and white. So the image is selected, which is color, and then what's not selected is black and white. Image on black.
Oh, it takes away the window.
Yeah. Image on white. And then white on black. Oh, okay. White on black kind of a sort of standard sort of mask affair. Okay. I tend to work on the color overlay on black and white because I can see that better. But obviously, you can do what you like now. If we how do we invert the mask on this? I've not tried that.
The button invert.
Is there a button invert?
Next to the select subject.
Right click it or something.
If you click the actual
on the mask.
Below the mask.
Yeah.
No, to your right now.
That one.
Select subject, invert.
If you click on the little pinpoint in the middle of the mask, the red bit on the screen.
Yeah.
It should bring up some
there we go. There we go. So,
yeah. Oh, that's a quicker way, Helen. I've had to go around the houses to find that invert button. So that is really useful.
Excellent. So invert, and there we have the the background selected rather than the spider, and then we want to make that darker. So we'll start with a bit of contrast. Drop that down. Somebody say stop.
Keep going.
Well, you're losing the
Oh, I don't know. I think that's too much. I think you need to see something.
Yeah, a little bit of green would be nice, isn't it?
Yeah, maybe there.
I'd say a bit more.
Bit darker or a bit lighter?
A bit darker, I think.
Yeah, because we are beginning to use the. Okay. Right. Okay. Excellent. So, so we've got that far. Now, again, I'm still concerned that this isn't particularly sharp. So I did. I had to go at taking this into Photoshop, and I had a look at it. So this might be useful for you, Di, and certainly worth a try. I don't know if you've tried this. If you right-click the image, you get all these items, and edit in is where I would normally go and edit in. Yeah,
that's where it won't work. That's what I normally do, Mark.
Right.
It's not having any of it. What it does is it imports or exports the original image, and not the one I've been working on. Like it won't give the edited version. It'll give the original version.
Okay. Let's see. It should do this. What I'm hoping it'll do here. Yeah, it should bring up this little box for you. When
it used to, but that box doesn't come up.
Oh, that's weird. I've not come across that before. We'll have to probably do a search on Google, because somebody else will have had that issue. So we're going to open this in Photoshop, and I'm going to have to reshare the screen when I do, but we're going to edit a copy with Lightroom adjustments, because obviously we don't want to edit the original, and because we've done all this work making the background dark, and just editing a copy again would lose the changes we've made. So I'll edit a copy with Lightroom adjustments and click edit, and I'll just switch the screen that I'm sharing. So switch there and share my Photoshop with you. I was watching an RPS presentation on Saturday. I was delighted to see the expert in America had to do this as well. So I thought, I'm obviously not, I'm not going wrong. So we're now in Photoshop. Can everyone see Photoshop there?
Yep. Yes.
And there's the image. Now, this came in some editions ago into Photoshop. And if we go to filter and go to sharpen and shake reduction, and click that, this has a go at removing blur out of your image. Now, I must admit, when I did this originally, I hadn't played with it in Lightroom, so it may well be this will work better without the sharpening that we did in Lightroom, because it's looking particularly crunchy at the moment. So let's just play around with some of these settings and see what we can do, because I got this looking really quite reasonable earlier on when I tried this out. I don't think we need that. But as I say, I hadn't. Oh, that's better. I hadn't played with sharpening. So, is that better? I'm not sure it is. Let's have a look. Turn off the preview. Marginally better, I would say. Would you agree? Marginally better, or can you not see any difference at your end?
Better.
It looks better, yes.
Okay. So as I say, I was actually able to get a better result without having sharpened it in Lightroom. So this is possibly academic, because I don't know if Photoshop Elements has this, Janet.
No, well, don't worry about it. I just thought there was plenty there to be worked on.
Indeed. Yeah, absolutely. So if I just save that, and I'm going to stop sharing again, and we're going to go back to Lightroom, which we're going to be doing a fair amount of, I think, as we go through the evening. So let's have a look at the before and after here when it comes through. Pop them up next to each other. So we've got, so I can never remember which one. That's the after. So that's the before with the Lightroom changes. So let's actually show that before and after with no changes on. So if we go to that one and just do a reset on that. Okay, there we go. So before and after.
Oh yeah,
yes.
I think we've done all right there for a start, haven't we?
I reckon you've done brilliant.
Pretty good start, isn't it?
Yes.
Before you move on, I think the other thing I would do, Mark, is get rid of, I don't know if they're dust marks or if it is bokeh at the back, but it's quite distracting down that left-hand side and one of his legs. I think just spot removal maybe in Photoshop to get rid of that. I always make a pig zero of trying to do it in Lightroom, trying to get rid of those spots. So I always tend to go into Photoshop.
Yeah,
seems to make a better job of it.
Yeah, it depends a lot on where it's looking and whether you select clone or heal. So I sometimes find that if the version that I'm using of the spot healing brush in Lightroom isn't doing what I want, then rather than taking it into Photoshop, I'll switch to either clone or heal, whichever the one is the opposite to what I'm using, and that quite often fixes it. Let's should we just have a quick go so you can see what I mean by that? Yeah. We'll go on to this sort of in inverted commas final picture. So you want to get rid of something like this.
Yeah.
Okay, so if we go here, I'll make my clone a little bit bigger. I'll give it a click. So it's going to take it from up there. So if we just remove that, so it's actually not made a bad job of that, has it? So yeah, so if that doesn't work particularly well, and if you look over here, you see you've got clone and you've got heal. At the moment we're on heal. We could try clone, and I suspect this isn't going to show us any great difference, but it's always worth it. Actually, you can see quite, if you look there, you can actually see quite clearly where the dot is. So again, if we click heal now, there you go. Makes a huge difference. Better, so that's what I would do if you ever have that situation, then give that a go before taking it into Photoshop, because you may well find that works well. So there we go. There you go, Janet. It's another winner for you. Another winner for you.
We'll see that, Janet. The
I
next
don't think
competition.
it'll ever see the light of day, but I just think it's fascinating to find out what you can do.
Excellent.
Mark,
Okay. Yes.
Going back to Di's original point about the dialogue box not coming up.
Yeah.
If you're working on a raw image and you go to edit that in Photoshop, you won't get the dialogue box coming up. It needs to be a TIFF, PSD, or JPEG image.
I'm not sure. Not sure that's true.
I've just googled it, Mark. That's what it is.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure that's true because I do this all the time with my raw images.
I've just tried it on mine in the current version, and you don't get it. You don't get the dialogue.
Right. Perhaps that's a new thing then. That's
you're working on a PSD file there.
Yeah.
This is now a PSD file, yes, because we took it into Photoshop. It was originally a JPEG file.
Yeah, so because you was working on a JPEG, you got the dialogue box coming up.
That's interesting, Cliff, because what I was having to do was export it as a TIFF.
Yeah.
And then import it into Photoshop that way. That was the only way I could do it.
Yep.
But,
okay, well done, Cliff. Well done. Thank you for that.
Thanks, Cliff.
Can I just give a quick tip as well? If you've got a series of images and you find you've got dust spots in exactly the same spot, what you can do is fix them all in one image and then use the previous function, and it will fix them all in the others as well, as long as the dust spots are roughly in the same place. And I've learned from bitter experience in Iceland where I had 90 spots, and I got rid of them all, but the series, they were all in the same, the water droplets were all in the same place. So just a little tip.
Okay, yeah.
You have to be a little bit cautious of that if you've got different types of photos, because it will take the healing spot from exactly the same place in every photo. So if you have a nice idyllic water scene in one shot and then you've got an architectural shot in the next, you may find that it doesn't work quite so well. So you do just have to be a little bit cautious about that. But you're right, it saves a huge amount of time. When I did my Star Trail one, trying to get rid of all the planes, oh, it was a nightmare. So yeah,
it's only in the same sequence because, as you say, the dust spots are likely to move, but it can if you've got 10 images all of the same sequence. It's good. It's a shame it doesn't auto-identify dust spots, isn't it? And
if you click the visualize spots, it doesn't do a bad job. I think these are bokeh, but this is what spots will look like. Dust spots will look like when you do the visualize spots. So it can help a bit on that.
Are they dust spots or sunspots? Sometimes I get like a sunspot on my photographs. Are they?
There
is
might
that
be
the
a
same thing.
window behind.
Yeah, I think they're both the ones, aren't they? I think or something.
Yeah.
Well, he was on the wall underneath our kitchen window, so I'm really not too sure where the spots come from at all.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on.
Okay, nice one, John.
Yeah, well done, John.
I've just tried right-clicking an image in the latest Lightroom, edit in Photoshop. It's an F file, goes in there, no problem. But of course, you can't save it back as an F.
Yeah, you're right, Frank. You can edit it, but what I'm saying is you don't get the 3 dialogue options in terms of.
No, that's correct, because it's a raw file. Yeah. If you do it with a raw file, you just it takes the raw one up and puts it in like that.
Yeah, that's
right. However, if I just do a little edit on that one and do it again, as you say, it comes up and puts it straight into Photoshop, but it includes the edit.
Okie dokie. Right, moving on. Peter Turner, are you here, Peter?
Yeah, I'm here.
Excellent. Right, we'll have a
specialist in boring photos.
We'll have a quick look at your couple of photos. So thank you for sending them in. So do you want to say anything about the photos before we start?
Not a lot. I mean, this one I like the clouds, and obviously I like the rainbow, but there's a lot in there that probably needs to come out.
Okay, and this is your second one before we.
Yeah. Again, I think that's a cropping thing and possibly making the cloud a little sharper.
Okay. So we'll start with this shot. Where do people want me to start?
I'd like to get rid of the light area down on the bottom.
Yeah.
So distracting. If you just crop it up, just that one edge up a little bit, not quite so drastic, unless you've zoomed it.
I don't think the horizon's straight either.
No.
Yeah, I was going to say maybe do the horizon first.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have all in one go.
Okay, so we're going to the crop tool, and we'll start with the horizon. So take the angle, little ruler button, and I'll click at one end here and drag it across. Just line it up with the mountain and the edge of the sea there, and let go, and that's where that takes us. So that's straightened it.
Well, I've
and then,
learned something. I never realised that's what you did. Oh.
Excellent. Well, that's good. We're all here to try and learn, and learn different things. So that's that part. Frank, you still want to lose?
Yeah, you need to lose that. It's so distracting. Takes the eye straight to it.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. So, how do you want to remove it? Do you want
to bring the bottom up?
And
do you want to bring the sides in? Do you want to maintain the?
No.
16.9 might work.
Yes, I'd say 16.9.
Okay, so for those of you who've just heard a load of numbers and think, what on earth is that all about? It's the ratio of the sides. So at the moment, we've got a ratio of 6:4. If you click the original here, that tells you your original ratio. If you click it here, it'll give you a whole selection of different ratios. You won't get the ones at the bottom here, which are ones that I've put in myself. But you'll get 1:1, which is square, 4:5, 8.5 by 11, 5:7, and what we're originally in, 4:6. So, and 4:3, 16:9, 16:10. So 16:9, I think Sophia suggested. So I'll click that, and that takes us there, which rather magically just takes us to the right edge of it, which was nice. Have we lost?
The only problem there is you've lost the edge of the.
Yeah, exactly. Lost the edge of the rainbow. Sorry,
no, not the rainbow. The promontory.
On the left-hand side, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So we're at 16.9 now. If we want to change it and not worry too much about the ratios, then we can unclick the padlock, which unlocks all this, and we can just drag that out. Now we can only get that far because we've straightened it, and straightening it is probably more important than actually catching that very tiny little bit of edge left at the end there. So if we click that, I'm a little disappointed we're losing quite a lot of the rainbow, I must admit.
Try 16:10.
Yeah, that might be.
I think you ought to go back 4:6 and then just grab the bottom and take it up a bit.
Okay, we'll try.
In other words, free from oil from here. Just take the top up.
Yes.
Let's just
You've
try
got room to take the top up.
Yeah, we'll try both. So we've got 16:10 here. So that's what the 16:10 looks like. We can make it larger.
You could pull that out a bit, and move it left.
And move it left. Okay.
Yeah, that's it. That's
yes.
It's got that nice bit at the top of the rainbow then.
Yeah. There we go. You see, we get there eventually.
And that's also lost the space in the bushes there on the right-hand side, which is good.
Okay. So that gets the cropping sorted out. I can see a couple of dust spots in here, which I'm just going to just go here. Let's let me go in any tighter. No. Okay, so let me just get the dust spots out. So let's visualize it, and there's one there, and there's one there. And turn that off. So that's got rid of those two spots. Right, what do we want to do next with it, if indeed anything?
Could you do anything with a radial filter around the area of light at the bottom of the rainbow, just to add a bit more warmth and a bit more kind of like the sun is, the rainbow is shining on that bit of the.
Yeah, we certainly could do that. Should we do anything to the? I never know which way to do this. Do you start with micro adjustments, or do you start with adjusting the whole image to get it to somewhere like, and then move into the micros? What do people think about that?
I start with what most annoys me.
Yeah, me too.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. What most annoys you, Sophia?
Well, nothing does. So now that the horizon is done.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think
so
all the bad annoyances have gone.
Great.
It's just tweaking it now.
Okay.
Yeah.
What I will normally do is I'll normally just say to Adobe, what do you think? What do you think looks good here? And I click the auto button, and it will do something. Sometimes I like it, sometimes I won't like it. So that's where it. That's where it's
at the bottom of the rainbow.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's better. I might bring down the green a little bit in the foreground, because I want my focus more on the rainbow and the distance.
Okay.
I'd like to see more colours in the rainbow, a bit more saturation, a bit more vivid.
Okay.
When taking the exposure down, bring things out a bit more. It looks quite. Maybe it's just the screen I'm looking at it on.
No, I don't disagree. I'm just going to do this just to show you what happens, so you can see the rainbow does become a lot clearer as we make it darker. But I would suggest that's a micro local adjustment rather than an overall adjustment. So I think we should come back to. I think we should come back to that.
Maybe you should select the sky and just take the sky down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So if we go into the not into the red eye, don't want red eye. And look, we've got select sky, my favorite thing. So we'll click select sky, and it will have a look at that. It'll be interesting to see how it makes out. So it's not done badly. It's included. Yeah, it's included these far mountains, but that's not done badly. So we'll just drop the exposure a little bit on there. Somebody say when.
It's too much.
Actually, come up a bit more. Yeah, maybe there.
Yeah.
Oops. Okay.
You've got that the top right hand thing there has gone very light.
Right, we'll come on to that in a moment.
On top of the rainbow.
Yeah. So to deal with that, if we come on to go back in here, and I'm just going to get the brush.
I think you'll have to press down the bottom. It's still on the previous thing, isn't it?
You mean press plus?
Yeah.
Sorry, yeah, you're quite right. Thank you. Thank you. Let me just let's click that. Can I pull this out? Yes, I can. There we go. Just move it over there. Okay, I've got the brush here, and we're just going to make this a little bit darker. Maybe do it on the highlights so that we don't disturb the rainbow too much. Just drop that down a little bit, maybe a bit. What do we think? Have we gone too far there, or are you happy with that?
You're losing the colour on the rainbow again a bit.
Yeah, I don't like that white bit at the top right.
You could clone some of the rainbow up there.
We could. So the easy, quick way of doing that is actually using the spot removal. And if we just get a nice big clump of spot removal, take it from there, and let me show me it. And we'll just drag that up. No, it's not doing it. Drag that up there. Not necessarily going to work particularly well, but it's not bad. What about clone? No, here. Yeah. It's not too bad. It's not too bad for a quick fix. So yes, a reverse use of the cloning spot removal tool. And then we were talking about down here as well, weren't we? We wanted to make that a bit bigger, a bit darker, and a bit clearer. So again, we'll get the brush. Get a brush. Here we go. And again, if we just, are we doing the whole, this whole area, or are we just sort of dobbing around in the valley here? Let's give it a go. Let's see.
What were you doing there, Mark? 'Cause I quite like it light. Are you looking to darken that?
Oh, well, somebody was asking to darken that area earlier, but perhaps
I think you could saturate it.
Saturate it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I would brighten it slightly, because that then shows the light falling on that part of the.
It's the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, isn't it?
I think that's what he said, to get some colour from the rainbow.
Yeah.
So I'm not entirely. I'm getting about 5 different suggestions there. So let's
typical.
Are you getting henpecked, Mark?
So if I just bring that up and bring maybe the shadows up a bit. Okay, so that's that. Is that bright enough for you?
It
A bit more contrast work in there.
A bit more contrast. Let's have a look. Like that.
It might be worth trying the dehaze as well. That sometimes gives some interesting results. Whoa, maybe not.
Yes, for dehaze, it's sort of a contrast on steroids, isn't it?
Yeah.
It does tend to make it a bit darker, and I think we were trying to make that a bit brighter, that area.
Yeah.
Okay, Peter, how are we doing?
That's better.
Peter, what do you use? What have you got for processing?
Lightroom.
Right, okay. And have you got the new updated version?
I don't think so. No, it's on an old Apple Mac, so I don't suppose it'll take it.
Okay, it should do actually.
Well, there's a lot of updates it won't take, because what's the latest operating system, which I don't have. So.
Right.
So
a lot of the stuff we've done here, you would be able to do on the old Lightroom. Obviously, you don't have the sky thing. If I was doing it on the old Lightroom, I would be taking the. I would be taking the linear gradient tool, which you'll recognise when I pull it, which does that, and that's what I would use to darken and bring down the sky. So there are certainly options there to do exactly what we've just done on the old Lightroom. Okay, so let's just do a quick. Let me just hide that. Let's just do a quick before and after. So when we started, we were there. Obviously, we're a bit skew with as well. Let's reset it. So that's where we started, and that's where we ended up. So I don't think that's too shabby. Let's do that again. So, yeah. Okay. Right. Let's quickly have a look at the your second shot, Peter. So done for that. Go to the library. Next, and we'll just do a very quick one on here. First thing, I'm just going to get rid of that dust spot. Okay. Now, I would suggest that this is a bit underexposed.
Yeah.
Let's just hit. Okay. And again, what I would normally do, just to get a starting place, is hit auto, which has sorted out that underexposure quite nicely.
Does anybody use the tone curves in this? Because quite often the first thing that I do is set the top and bottom with the tone curve.
I personally don't. I know exactly what you mean. So you find your lightest point and your darkest point, or what you want to be, lightest point and darkest point, and set those. It's not. It's something I used to do ages ago, a long time ago. But and to be honest, when Lightroom had the old auto button, which was absolutely rubbish, then yes, that's not a bad. It's not a bad place to start. Let me show everyone what you're talking about. So if we go down to the tone curve, I haven't done this for so long, I can't even find the damn tone curve. There it is. Okay, you see how often I use it? It's not even open. Right. So what Paul means here is you want to decide where your brightest point in the picture should be. So it's either going to be on the boat here or in the cloud here, I would suspect. Do you agree, Paul? Is your
I'd probably, I mean, I don't know, to kind of start with, I'd probably pull it down to the top of the histogram, so to the end of the...
Oh, up here?
No, oh, maybe you can do it up there, but if you do it on the tone curve, then if you grab the top right hand of the linear graph.
Top right, it's up here, do you mean?
So, yeah, so grab right at the top and then slide it left. So you can just drag it left. Maybe I haven't updated my Lightroom for ages, so
yeah.
Normally you can just grab the end point and drag it to expand the histogram effectively.
If you put your cursor roughly where that line that you've just done, just grab the top 3/4 of the tone curve, just click on it and then push it straight up. That has the same effect as before, except that you need linear setting.
Going dizzy.
But there is an easier way to do that, and just use the black and white on the first page. You know, your black, your white, and your shadows and your highlights.
I'll tell you what the easiest way is doing that.
Yeah, I'd probably agree with you. Although your histogram's a bit over on the right, off the left hand, right hand edge.
What Frank is saying, if you hold Alt down while you fiddle with the white and the black, you can see where your endpoints are.
Yeah, absolutely. So yes, quite right. I haven't done this for ages either. So we've got no pure whites on here at the moment. As we drag it across, so you see that blue towards the top right hand corner. That's telling us we're starting to blow out the white. So if you just drag it back, I mean, sometimes it doesn't matter if you just leave it there. So that's got us to a pure white. So we have a pure white spot, and then similarly in the blacks, if you look towards the bottom, you can see there's some black highlighting coming out there, which tells me that we're losing detail there. Probably not a problem, so we'll take it to there. And that should give us a sort of a proper black and a proper white within the image.
It might be a cloudy day though.
Yes.
So.
and then just play with the highlights and the shadows.
Gloom into it.
Yeah. So again, if I reset and do auto, that puts us to pretty much the right sort of spot. Another way you can change things here is you can come in here and you can actually drag the histogram. So if you say, look, my highlights aren't white enough, you can actually physically, I'm literally just clicking on there and just dragging it to the right to change the histogram. And similarly, you can do it over here and change the histogram there. And again, in midtones, you can fiddle around in there. But again, frankly, just do that. It gets you a decent spot to start. A decent spot to start in, at least. Let me get rid of that. I keep having to reclone that because I keep resetting it. Okay, so what else do we think we should be doing?
I'd like to see a little less foreground and a little bit more space above the lighthouse.
Well, you won't get more above.
I just find that white rock on the bottom left irritating.
Yeah,
and I think I'd have to get rid of that. But the piece of grass, which is the texture, is quite nice on the right hand side. That's quite nice. So you wouldn't want to take too much of that away, I don't think.
All I'm thinking, Liz, is just saying Photoshop is losing, as you say, just maybe above that rock.
Yeah, just that bit.
And increasing space above the lighthouse. So you've just got a little bit more room at the top.
Yeah.
Which we can certainly do.
Do you want to show that, Mark?
Yep. Okay. So I've just fixed the bottom there. Yep. So
that was distracting me.
Okay. Yep. No problem. So we shall go into Photoshop. So edit in Photoshop. We'll edit a copy of Lightroom adjustments, and I will stop sharing this screen and start sharing the Photoshop screen. Okay. Everyone see Photoshop there?
Yep.
Splendid. So Di wants us to make this a taller image and possibly crop out the bottom. We won't bother about cropping out the bottom just at the moment. So I'm going to press Control minus just to, why is that not doing what it's supposed to do? I was going to try and just zoom out. For some reason, it's decided it's not going to zoom out. So all I did there was click the little microphone magnifying glass, and if you and on my mouse, I'm clicking the left-hand button, and I'm dragging down to zoom in and dragging up to zoom out. So just give us some space. I'm going to go to image, canvas size, because I'm going to make us some more canvas at the top there. So if we just change this to, it's going to go to the height, obviously. Change the height to, go to 1600. We can always trim later. And I'm going to tell it to put it to the top of the image. So this always confuses me. To go to the top, you click the bottom and click OK. And there we've got some space to put some more sky. There are numerous ways you can do this. I'm going to try this way to start with. I'm going to take the rectangular marquee tool. I'm going to select what I've just added on the canvas, and I'm going to go to Edit, Fill, and Content Aware Fill. This is the most basic Content Aware that Photoshop does, and possibly gives us a decent and interesting start. I'll just hide that. So that's given us something. So it looks like there's a train going underneath that cloud now. So I think we'll undo that. So Control Z undoes what I've just done, and Control H. I just hid the marching ants with Control H. I'm going to now go to Edit, because that didn't work particularly well. We'll go to Edit and Content Aware Fill. And again, it's only going to fill in the area that we've done here. But what it's done here is it's saying, OK, I'm going to look at this particular area that's covered in green. I don't want it to look at the lighthouse at all. So we'll just rub that out of there. So it don't get any of that. And here it's showing us what it's going to do. And again, not hugely excited by what it's coming out with. But what I'll do is I'm going to say OK. Then I'm going to get a stamp tool, and I'm going to clone in some of this cloud to hopefully make it a little bit more sensible. So I'm going to press Alt. I'm going to select here. And I'm just going to paint this in a sort of more interesting sort of way, just to try and make it look a little bit more natural. Like maybe like that. Pop in there. There we go. Okay. If I hide that, we've still got a few problems just around the edges here. So I'm just going to press J, which gives me this cloning stamp. I'm just going to do that just to get rid of the edges there. To get rid of those edges there. And now I'll get rid of the edges there. And that's coming along reasonably well. Just going to zoom in here, because as you can see, we've got a bit I've not selected very well. So I'll just work around this a little bit more carefully, because I don't want to clone. I don't want to get rid of that lightning fork. There we go. And obviously we've got too much sky there. I think we'd agree, but that doesn't look too bad for cloud. You could almost believe that was there.
Now you've done all that, I was going to say about the cloud with the white of the lighthouse. Do you think it might be better having it a bit darker behind, so you get a contrast? Because that white looks a bit lost in the white cloud, I think.
Yeah. I understand what you're saying. I think if we try and make that cloud look dark, I think it's going to look a bit fake, or possibly faker than it already does after my fiddling around with the cloud there. I was going to say we could, of course. I'm just going to create a stamped copy, which just takes these two items and merges them into one. So if I just turn those off, so we now have just one image to work on. If we go to Edit and Is it edit? No, select. Is it select? You can select the sky and edit. I'm sure it's in edit. Well, there we go. Sky replacement. So let's just click sky replacement. It's come up with a whole bunch of options over here.
That one's nice.
Yeah.
That's one of mine. That's one of mine. So well,
like
Pete.
that.
Winner.
Yeah.
So there we go. job
There you
done.
go, Pete.
Thank you, Bob.
That's the one.
That's the winner.
midday.
Yeah, 20.
So there we go.
Nice.
Right, Peter. Thank you very much for those two
Yeah,
images.
nice one, Peter.
I'm going to just step out of order just for a moment, just to take us up to the break time. And Paul, if you don't mind, we'll have a look at your three, because I know you want to look at your three together. So best way to do this is that. Select all. Let's give it full screen. And Paul, do you want to tell us what you're looking to do here?
Yeah, sure. This isn't really so much question about editing, although I'd be quite happy to, if anybody has got any suggestions on editing, but probably more around lighting and how to set up the lighting for it. These are just three different pictures, more or less the same thing, and I had here, I've been using old flash guns that I've got lying around, so I'm trying to use old stuff. Probably the best suggestion would be to go and buy some proper gear, but I kind of don't want to do that. I'm interested in kind of using the things that I've got around me. So I've got some old flash guns and things like that. And I have invested though in some flash triggers, and Steve Bancroft also gave me a set of triggers as well for the Canon camera. So the left hand one is done with a digital camera, and the other two are done on film, as you can probably tell. So I had here two flash guns on wireless triggers, one at either side. So kind of quite side lighting, which I don't know was really, it came out very, very harsh, quite sort of harsh shadows and things, and a lot of things like if you look, I suppose people wearing glasses is quite difficult for portraits and things. I don't know, because you got like these big shadows, like it looks almost sort of like a kind of eye makeup thing streaming out of the corner of my eye on one of them, things like that. So really any kinds of ways of doing something a bit different with the lighting, maybe as much as editing what's there.
Can I wade into this, Paul?
Please do. Yeah.
Right. Your right hand light is about 30 degrees. It needs to be, if you're starting off, you need to start off at 45-degree angle down and a 45-degree angle in from the right.
So put the light up high, so
higher,
it's pointing down. Yeah.
Higher, and bring it out a little bit more. And if you follow the nose, okay, yeah, and you get a shadow on the nose over your and increase the left cheek or the left hand side, do one light first, then switch it off and do the other light, and then put them together, and then decide the one on the right will be your dominant light, and then reduce the flash level on the one on the left. Ideal for digital.
Yep.
Okay, if you start there, then the other thing is to make sure that you're not lighting the hair, because you're not really lighting the hair, you're lighting the
there's not much there to light, so
get what I mean. So and of course you've got a mirror in the background.
Yes,
if you're shooting with flash, turn the mirrors, face them to the wall.
Yeah.
Because even if you're 6 or 10 feet away, some light will spill on there and it will cause effects that you don't want. Always start with one light. always start 45, 45, and then work your way around the face. And the
Does
best
it
thing to
matter
do,
how far away the light is?
yes, the light will fall off at the inverse square. So if you move it half the distance away, the light will fall off 4 times.
Yeah, but the flash setting will compensate the auto thing on the flash.
Don't rely on flash settings. Use manual.
Is it
same
like
as you do for exposure? If you work out on manual, you'll get used to your flash. You'll go there. If you do it often enough, you'll go there, have a look around, set your flash guns up in the right place.
I see. No, I mean the auto on the flash, because none of this was done with. This is all manual settings on the camera.
It needs to be manual. To understand the flash, you need to start with manual, because even with the latest cameras, like the latest Nikons, Canons, and that, your auto flash will not produce 2 consecutive flashes of exactly the same power. So if you do it on manual, it will. And the other thing, of course, is you've got a digital camera. Use your digital camera to set up your shot. It's pen and paper. It's long-winded, but it teaches you how to use a flash gun.
Yes, yeah, that's what I'm trying to do with this, is to get some experience, really, because I don't understand flash. Kind of basic.
Well, flash, believe it or not, is easy once you do understand it.
Yeah.
Right, and you need to understand that if you're going straight in with a bare flash, the lighting is going to be very harsh. Even if you put, like, I set a flash gun on fire once because I put toilet tissue over the front of it. Right? And things like that happen. But it's about auto is good once you know what you're doing, and then you can flick the compensation for the flash and
is
individual.
This auto? I'm getting a bit confused here, because
so
you've got auto
if
settings
you know,
on the camera.
if you understand flash, auto is okay. But if you don't
on the flash or the camera,
on the flash, okay. Most cameras now do. Well, most cameras that other people have got other than you do flash off the film or off while the exposure is taking place. It'll calculate it. That's why it's never the same. But if you really want to learn flash and get good at it, then start manual. And once you
ultimately, what I'm trying to get from this is to set it up. The digital one is really just to mess around with the settings till I got the exposure right.
If you start manual all over, use your digital camera so that you can see the results. Right.
Exactly. But and on the Bronica, which is what the other two are, there is no. Well, there is. I mean, this is just using the PC.
The Bronica's got a 60th of a second flash or 1/20th of a second flash. Okay?
No, it'll go up to 500. It's a leaf shutter, so it'll do any sync speed.
Yeah, but for ideal, you want to be around 120, a maximum 200. If circumstances allow it for you to do it at 500, it's fine. But I mean, on that machine, I've probably shot 5,000 or 6,000 shots on flash. Okay, and I didn't learn on the Bronica. I learned on the 220F, and I had somebody hit me every time I got it wrong because it wasted film. And now you've got a digital to check up on what you're
exactly.
doing.
Yeah. That's what
so just use manual. Get used to the distances. You don't need a tape measure or anything. You've got a foot. A foot is a foot. All right, and a stride is 30 inches. So just work out how many strides you are away from the subject. Plonk your flash down. If it comes out as the one on the right is, on the edge of the exposure, the one on the left, the digital one, is a reasonable exposure. You just got the angle of the flash gun wrong. If you want to spend a session when some of this COVID stuff is off, I don't mind coming over to your place, right? and you need to find a model though. Your other half, your daughter. Right?
Well, you can see I'm the only model left in this house.
Listen, I've got 3 daughters, and every time I pick a camera up, they run like anything. They're in their 30s now, and they even still run, or 2 daughters rather than 3 granddaughters. Right? They run. You just have to be persuasive, you know. Oh, I'll buy you something or take you to dinner or something like that. You're amazed how cooperative they are. Right? But honestly, if you start manual, you've got 3 things to learn. The first one is where you're going to point your flash and the ambient surrounds, because don't forget, have flash will travel, especially where mirrors are concerned. The next thing you need to do is to learn to get the exposure right, using the distance or the power of the flash, not the camera. Shoot everything at f8. On the Bronica, you get away with everything, even f11, which is the sweet spot on the lenses. Get what I mean? It's just going to take time and practice.
Splendid. Thank you, Frank.
Sorry about that.
Paul, can I just make a couple of recommendations for you that might help?
Please do. Yep.
There's a couple of YouTube channels that I follow that are really good. Gavin Hoey, who I think you probably already know.
Yeah, we've had a talk from him once, I think.
Yeah, and his stuff on Flash is fantastic. He keeps it really simple, achieves amazing effects. And also Glyn Dewis is a great portrait photographer. His work's fantastic. And he's got a few videos on there. But there's a book that I'm going to recommend to you, which I picked up a wee while ago. It's absolutely fantastic. It covers just about everything that you need to know about flash, posing, light positions, etc.
Okay.
And I don't know if you can see this, but it's by Rossella Vannon, R-O-S-S. I'll put it in the chat, R-O-S-S-E-L-L-A, Vannon. And it's lighting people. I mean, it's an expensive book for what it is. It's 25 quid for a paperback, but I'll tell you what, it's invaluable. I found it really useful when I was doing a portrait assignment on a course I was doing recently. I had it's a great reference guide, so I'll stick it in the chat shortly, but definitely have a look at Glyn Dewis and Gavin Hoey's videos on Flash, because they keep it so simple, and that'll probably help you.
Fantastic, thank you. Yep. Okay, and thanks Frank for the for
And
the
say
offer.
anytime. I know where you live.
Yep.
Right, and I understand your other half is a good cook.
Super. Thank you all for that. Thank you, Brian. You'll be first up in the second half, Brian. So get ready for that. And we've had both Glyn Dewis and Gavin Hoey at the club. Glyn Dewis a few times. So in fact, Brian, you can actually see Glyn Dewis's last visit to the club when he gave us a talk all about his veteran photography that he did, and it's on the members only area of the website, so you can actually go.
I'll have to have a look out for that.
Yes, it's well worth seeing. Over to you, Di.
Yeah, okay, fantastic first half. We haven't actually seen many photos, but I don't know where that hell has gone. It's just incredible.